let's get this started. Radiohead, legendary English rock band, known for combining elements of rock and electronica, experimenting with sounds and textures, coming out with some of the most interesting rock music I've seen, or heard, in ages, honestly. In fact, for me to narrow down my favourite songs by them to only 10 is a difficult decision at hand, because you've just got so many different styles they've dealt with over the course of their discography. They've started off as a sort of grungy, garage rock sort of band, and then they've developed that sound and added little experimental elements of electronica, and as of recent they've started to swell up their songs with very awesome string sections. So please bear in mind that this is just my opinion. There are a huge stack of songs that I would have loved to mention, and even on Pablo Honey and the King of Limbs their songs I would have liked to mention. This is simply just me narrowing it down to 10 of my exact favorites. At number 10 we have the fourth track from Kid A, How to Disappear Completely. This song is depressing as heck. It starts off with the acoustic guitar that just sort of strums nicely, and then suddenly in comes these chilling, high-pitched notes on the fading in and out of the background, and suddenly these strings sort of swoon in, and it envelops you in this atmosphere that is floaty but also empty and kind of blank. At number 9 we have the song Nude. Now this is a song from my favourite Radiohead album and my favourite album of all time, In Rainbows, and that's because this album really focused on a lot of warm, comforting feelings. It's rich, it's lush, and it's full of very uplifting moments. Even some of the darker moments on the album, like on Videotape, still have that element of fulfillment to them. Nude, on the other hand, feels very stripped back. There's not a lot going on, but the simplicity is what really draws me in. It's a beautiful, tender, comforting song that has the power to even move someone to tears. At number 8 we have a song on Hail to the Thief titled Where I End and You Begin. Now I just love that title. It already brings up this tense mood, and the song definitely carries that. It has this high-pitched little synth, and it's so haunting, and it kind of gives me chills every time I hear it. It feels like the whole song is cast in this sort of dream world, and the song is constantly telling me to wake up, because these high-pitched notes are just kind of squealing in your ears. The instrumental kind of unsettles me because it sounds like it's almost crying for help in a way. And of course the unsettling vibes are only supported by Tom York at the end, singing in a very monotone voice, I will eat you alive, I will eat you alive. I will eat you alive, I will eat you alive, I will eat you alive. At number 7 we have Fake Plastic Trees. Now I figured I would have to have some sort of representative from the Bends on here. Even though the rock era of Radiohead isn't looked back on so fondly by fans of Radiohead, I still think that this is a really solid album. Fake Plastic Trees is so packed with emotion and rawness. The acoustic guitar sort of strips everything back and just makes you focus on the lyrics. Tom York singing about the fake plastic love, this love that feels so stale. And by the time it hits the final chorus, the burst of energy that comes through is seriously heart-wrenching. You can genuinely hear the pent-up agony in Tom York's voice on this track. When Tom York just wails out at the top of his lungs, it's going to be a glorious day. It does sound a little bit disillusioned, and I love how the instrumental reflects that, and especially during that chorus. The climax is just so satisfying. The guitar is just crying. You can actually hear some agony in that guitar. Sing a song on the jukebox that most recent album, A Moon-Shaped Pool, I figured I would have to have some sort of song from there. There are a ton of great songs on A Moon-Shaped Pool. However, if I had to pick just one to fit onto this list, it would be Burn the Witch. I mean, sure, there are also Daydreaming and Present Tense and Full Stop. However, this is simply just outstanding. The opening track brings in the sense of tension and the swelling feeling of something big coming up. Something massive and something dangerous. I love the little plucked strings at the start of the song, which act as a foundation for the rest of the track as a sort of percussion, and how even more strings sort of dip in and out of the track, especially during that second verse.
Dragging out you window, dragging out the dead, singing a mess, you snakes and ladders, flip the lid, out pops the cracker, snaps you in the head, snaps you in the neck, kicks you in the teeth, steel.
At number 4, we have A Wolf at the Door, rhyming. This track plays out as some sort of messed up fairy tale. The lyrics jump from one image to another, like some sort of Frank O'Hara poem. And there's some dark, twisted imagery being sung by Tom York, who on this track has an unusually angry, intimidating tone to his voice, which I've never heard on a Radiohead track, where he's just plowing through these verses with little breathing time. It's so very hard to sing these verses at the tempo he does on this track. And I love how near the end, Phil Selway, with this epic explosive drumming, just goes hunnits and he's just
walking like giant cranes, with my X-rays, I strip to make it
battering those drums. And after the calm bridge, that drumming really revives the energy back into the track. At number 3, we have my favourite song off of In Rainbows, Reckoner. This song is just... straight off the bat, you've got that percussion, you've got that little groovy shaker, just kind of go... and then in comes the bass line and the guitar line, and it sort of repeats over and over again for the whole song. For me, it's a very addicting, alluring tune that sounds way too beautiful for it to ever get tedious. But in case it does, they keep building on this. Tom York's falsetto vocals come in, of course, you'd expect that. But after the bridge, some grand strings just sort of pour exceptional amounts of life back into the track. The first time you hear this track, you kind of notice the odd rhythm that it has going on. You've got those piano chords which are played very slowly and at a very odd rhythm, but it kind of beckons you into its world, this dark, abyssal world. For me, it's the sort of song I can just kick back and just think deep thoughts to.
I'll take a quiet life on a handshake, a carbon monoxide, and no arms and no surprises, no.
I mean, compared to all the massive, grand songs you've heard on this list previously, like Reckoner, A Wolf at the Door, Pyramid Song, this seems like it's a little bit simpler, but sometimes it's that really resonates with me. For a start, the instrumentation is just gorgeous. The glockenspiel, the snare drum, that memorable little guitar tune that repeats throughout the whole song. And the lyrics are telling a story about this character who feels unsatisfied with his life. He feels like it's not going anywhere, he's not got a good job, he feels like the world's kind of against him. And because of this, he just wants to die a death with no alarms and no surprises. And towards the bridge, this is where things get really emotional, because there's a subtle change in Tom's voice in the way he sings such a pretty house, such a pretty garden. I mean, it's not a story I can particularly relate to in any way, but I feel it's just the delivery of that story and the way it's told, not just in the lyrics, but in the instrumental as well. It's serene and calm all the way through. It doesn't shock you with any unexpected change in instrumentation. Any sort of changes are very subtle and simple, and subtle and simple really works for this song. No Surprises is my favourite Radiohead song, and definitely a contender for my favourite song of all time. I am Ricky Lai, and I promote an end to this video.